Oh yeah, I didn't even tell you. Oh, here I got a story.
Oh, do you want to explain the Broadway show one first?
What was that one? That was.
That's your sister.
Oh yeah.
This time, Robin has stories for you instead of me.
I am very passive. So, how long ago was that? That was a few years ago.
It was a few years ago.
Yeah, I had bought Broadway tickets to see Aladdin for my sister for her birthday. It was a surprise. I told her, meet me at the city at this time at this designated location because I'm coming from work or school. I forgot what it was. And I get there. I'm standing in front of the theater, reading. And it's getting late. So at a point, I just have to tell her, I'm like, dude, it was a surprise. There were tickets to see Aladdin for your birthday. But you have to get here because they're closing the doors. She's like, why didn't you just tell me that? I'm like, keyword premise. It's a surprise. I'm just waiting outside. The doorman's like, we're about to close the door. You got to come inside. Fine. And then I'm like, I'm going inside. They're closing the door. She starts cursing my name through the phone. I'm like, I'm going inside. And you know, these on Broadway, those theaters have narrow seats. I got orchestra seats. And it's a little tight, so and they're like in the center orchestra seats. So shimmy in. I'm like, fuck that cow. And then 15 minutes into the show, my phone keeps going off. And it's her. She's like, I'm outside. I'm like, well, they closed the door. She's like, well, I'm outside. So I shimmy my way in the middle of the show. I'm like, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. To the door. The doorman lets me out. Like, my sister's here finally. And so I'm like, you're late. As soon as I say to her she's late, she yokes me up in front of the theater. The doorman tries to jump in to break it up. And I'm like, that's my sister. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, let's just go. I'm not missing any more of the show. So we shimmy our way back down to orchestra. She shimmy. She actually ended up loving the show. And I'm like, well, if you were here for the first 15 minutes. She ended up going back to see the show. I didn't even know that till like maybe a year later. She went back to see the beginning of the show.
uh,
And surprises never again will I do for her.
the best part about that whole story was what my brother said. Your sister took an hour and a half ride down there and was thinking about it the whole time. Was just angry for an hour and a half. Like, I could just picture her sitting on the train muttering to herself the whole time.
Mm-mm-mm.
So what's the new one? What happened this time?
Dude, so a few months ago, my mom stopped home because she moved to Florida and decided to redo the bathroom. And I'm like, you sure about that, mom? Like, you sure? Can we get a professional? I even had a professional company come. I sat down, did an estimate, did a walkthrough with them, everything, laid out a great plan. It was potentially looking like a $10,000 job, but they offered payment arrangements and everything. And she's like, that's too expensive. I'm like, okay, I understood. She's like, I'll find someone to do it. So she ended up going to Home Depot, picked up someone from in front of Home Depot, ended up being an older gentleman
Hold
who
on, stop.
walked
Hold on,
with,
hold on, stop.
uh huh.
Is something dripping?
Oh, wow, it's in the kitchen. Hold on. Let me turn off the faucet.
What? Okay, if you could hear that dripping the whole time, why didn't you turn it off beforehand?
I thought it was far enough where you didn't hear.
Like, you were just sitting there listening to that thing drip.
It's actually still dripping, but it's not over a pipe right now. I mean, a pot.
But you would just sit there and listen to that thing drip on top of that pot. Instead of just like doing something about it.
Yeah, now That's another problem now. Because it's not supposed to keep dripping like that. That means someone has to fix that faucet.
Yeah.
Not my problem.
Back to your story.
Oh, okay. So my mom decided to hire a gentleman from Home Depot, an older gentleman who walked with a cane. And I'm like, Mommy, seriously? Mind you, he didn't even have a car. So to get here, he would use a shopping cart to help support himself. That it was really sad. And I would sometimes give him rides back to Home Depot or to
Wow.
get supplies. Anyway, so this guy, and mind you, it's during the pandemic and everything. He tears apart the complete bathroom, the floor, the walls, the tub, everything. And he wants to bring a partner in to help. My mom's like, no, it's a pandemic. No one else, just you. And I feel for the guy because, like, he's struggling to do it.
He can't.
My
He
mom is
is already on a cane. He can't do all that work by himself.
right. My mom can be a real jerk. She didn't let him talk to me or even look in my direction when she was around. He would try to explain things to her, but she wasn't trying to hear it. Whatever. Lo and behold, she's like paying him like day by day. The little work he does, like she pays him like $50 a day from the total she's supposed to give him. And my mom is leaving soon to go back to Texas. She was like a first responder for the hospital, whatever. And it ends up, my mom ends up leaving,
Uh
and the guy doesn't come back to finish the job. He even leaves his cane in the basement.
huh.
It's a
What?
day or two. I'm like, maybe he has to rest. Another day, and then a whole week passes by.
Oh my God! Please don't tell me this man died.
I don't know. I don't know what happened to him.
What? You still don't know what happened to him?
No, he never came back.
Oh.
Never came back. And lo and behold, sadly, he did not finish the bathroom job. The tiles are crooked. They're still, hopefully he's fine.
Wow. What was
The
he? Well,
sheetrack
wait.
is
What was he
still out.
supposed to do?
He was supposed
What?
to remodel the whole bathroom. Walls, tub, ceiling. There's a hole in our ceiling. Redo the
Wow.
floors. So some of the job was done. The tiles were crookedly put. The floor was uneven. Crooked tiles were loose. The grout wasn't put in. And she chose white tiles for the bathroom. So, the amount of dirt and hair it
Yeah.
attracts. And I'm livid because I'm like, you didn't have to do this. You could have just left the bathroom as is, and you leave me with this mess to clean up. And I can't bear it. I hate the tiles. They're uneven. I'm like, God forbid if someone slips on this, no way. So I'm telling my coworker all my issues and all the stuff. He's like, hey, I know a handyman who can help you out. I used to work
Before
for him.
before you continue, did you pay that guy?
The which one? The guy who went missing.
Yeah.
My mom paid him some of the money, but not all of it.
Oh my God.
Right,
That is the worst.
right. We're not at the worst yet, Ty. The worst. That's just the very
Oh.
beginning layer of this 7 layer cake. So my coworker suggests a guy, a friend of his that who he used to work for, to come take a look, and he does pretty good. Oh yeah, and also the radiator was taken out the bathroom, and the handicap guy didn't put it back in. A peg leg guy, I don't know how to refer to it. I never even got his name, and so my coworker gave me the guy's number.
A peg leg guy.
I, Oh, he was a drunk also. He would leave tequila bottles
Your
in the
mom hired a
basement.
pirate
Like,
to fix her bathroom.
oh, oh, and another thing, he did get someone to come help him, and you know what this bozo guy did? He poured cement water in our washer.
What? 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 What?
Dude, I do not make this stuff up. Like,
What? Why
my
would you?
sister
What?
ended up buying a new washer.
Well, yeah. What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my
and I'm
god.
like, because all because she want to hire a professional guy. Right. Like when you want to cut corners, you cut, but some things are not worth it. Like, and all I can say, this is not my house, but I'm temporarily living here and I want to be comfortable.
Yeah, I know.
So
I
that,
know that feeling.
right. So then, okay, my coworker gives me the guy's number. So I call him up and he immediately sets up an appointment to come look at the bathroom and everything. And he was running a little late. So I'm like, it's fine. He's like, I'm here now. So he comes in, takes a look at the bathroom, and I'm like, how much do you think it would be? He gives me an estimate right off the rip, tells me everything he's going to do and everything that went wrong with the job before. Because he currently works for a construction company too, but he's doing this as a favor.
Hmm.
And he does side jobs also. Okay, I'm like, how soon can you start? He's like, I can start next week, but I do require the money up front. And I'm like, okay, my coworker referred him. I'm like, okay, that's no problem. He's like, here are the materials I need. Gave me a whole list, everything. When he's gonna start. Okay, cool. And he's like, ask me what type of tiles, what style do you want to go for, and everything, right? I'm like, okay, great. And then
I'm
he goes to
still,
Home Depot.
I'm still a peg leg guy.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're going layered. This is seven
Wait,
layer cake
wait,
right now.
wait.
So
Did he really have a peg leg, or you just called him that because he had a limp?
because he had a limp. So he goes to Home
That's
Depot.
cold blooded, man.
Listen here, it seems to be a cold blooded world out here.
We have to give this man a name.
Pablo,
No, it has to
he
be a
looked like a
pirate
Pablo,
name.
drinking tequila all the damn
No,
time.
we'll call him
He had
Captain
he had
Grimes from the
hair.
Watch.
He had hair up to his shoulder, gray hair up to his shoulder.
We're gonna call him Captain Grimes from the Watch. That's his new name.
Like
She hired Captain Grimes.
his cane is still here to this day.
Oh, so this new guy,
Right. He
like
sends me
a Captain
pictures of what he's gonna
Grimes.
get from Home Depot and everything. I'm like, cool, great, no problem. So the week comes when he's supposed to start. I get a text message, hey, I'm sorry, I'll be able to start this week. My grandmother died. I have to go to the funeral. I'm like, I'm so
Oh,
sorry
that
for your
sucks.
loss. As soon as I get back up, I'll start the job. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And this is December now. And no problem. I totally understand. When you come back, definitely you can start the job. So he comes back, gets some of the material, and he starts explaining to me everything he's gonna do and how he has to break up the floor and he needs help moving the toilet and the sink out the bathroom. I'm like, cool, my boyfriend will help you. That's no problem. That's cool beans, right? So he starts taking apart the floor and then he's like, oh, shoot, the tool that I need isn't here. He lives out a few towns away. He's like, I have to go get it, but I have another job to do, but I'll be back by the end of the day. The end of the day comes, he doesn't come back. He's like, sorry, I got caught up in another job, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'm like, okay, that's no problem. Okay. Next day comes, he doesn't come back. Then the following day comes, he comes back. He's like, I got it. Then he's like, oh, shoot, I need another tool to do this. I'll be back. I'm like, okay, no problem. Next day comes, doesn't come back. Next day he hits me up. Oh, sorry, my girlfriend's kid. She had to babysit, and I had to babysit. Yada. I'm like, okay, all right, no
This doesn't
problem. I
sound too good at
completely
all.
understand. No problem. Another day goes by. He doesn't come back. Then he comes back the following day. He starts doing what he needs to do with the cement. Yada yada yada. So then after the floor, he had to do a few other things in the bathroom. He had a whole list of things that he was going to do, right?
Okay.
And then something happens. He's like, I'm sorry, can I get an advance? Like, I have to help out my grandmother's, one of his cousins because he's taking care of my nephew. And I just need an advance to help them with the bills. I'm like, oh, okay.
This is
Yeah,
why I say you
yeah,
need to be more assertive. This guy is never on time, and you giving him an advance? Hell no.
right. I'm
It's
like,
like, can I get an advance? No. Like, dude, you're never here when you need to be here. This should have been done, and you want an advance? No.
right. Right. So I'm like, okay, all right, I understand. Then he doesn't come back. Then he comes back again and does little things for a few of probably an hour, and then goes again. Floor's still not done. I'm like, dude, like, what's going on? I'm so sorry. It's going through a lot. My girlfriend cheated on me, and I have a lot of
Oh my
pressure.
god.
I'm supposed to take over her father's business. Yada yada. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry to hear that, but I
Like, you
have.
were hired to do a job. Leave your personal shit at home. Come do the work you're supposed to do because it should have been done already.
Man, I wish I gave you my phone tie. I'm like, okay, there are days like that, but come back as soon as you can, please, because I need this done by a certain time period, please. He's like, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm such an asshole. I'm so sorry. I'm such an ass. I'm a terrible person. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you kind of seem like an ass, but whatever. I'm telling my coworker about this. He's like, are you serious?
That's what I'm saying the same to you. Are you serious? I'm mad you gave him a fucking advance. What the fuck was that?
And then my coworker's like, "Are you?" Because he used to work for him. He's like, "Gosh," he's like, I know he comes off funny sometimes, but he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he does something else in the bathroom, then does come back for a few days. He sends me these. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I just need an advance. My dog is pooping blood." He sends me pictures of the poop blood, and at this
That
point, I am stressed beyond belief. My boyfriend is like livid with me, like, and totally
yeah, I would be too.
understandable. And he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, "I
Like
am
this is
so."
ridiculous.
He's like, I'm like, "Yo, it's cool." I felt bad. I'm like, "Okay, but you need to come back and finish this job that you said you would do, because it's getting ridiculous." So I told my coworker, like, "Okay, you talk to him." So he talked to him too and made him feel like shit. I'm like, "Yeah,
Well,
as he
yeah.
should."
I understand you. This was a hookup and you was doing a favor, but it's still a job you was hired to do. Do the job.
He finally, like, after I said my police, I really should have been a rude bitch. Like, I really need this job done because I have a 1-year-old. I need this done. I'm so sorry. I'm such an asshole. Da 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 da. I'll come and I'll finish up the floor, and then I'll do this, that, everything he was supposed to do. I'm like, okay, that's great. Great. Mind you, I'm summing this story up for you because this dragged out for weeks. He finally comes and does the floor, right? And then he's supposed to finish up some other work. I'm trying to sum this because this shit dragged out, bro. And let me tell you, the text he would send in between, he was like, "Hey, do you and your boyfriend want to consider moving out? Because I know you said you weren't going to stay at the house. I have a property that you could rent out." I was suspicious. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll have to talk to my boyfriend about that." And I was not interested, but I happened to tell my boyfriend about it. He's like, "Hell no." I'm like, "Yeah, that's just weird." And then another time in between, he offered me a job at the company he would take over. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of
How the fuck would I
focused."
work at your job? You can't even do a job you was hired for.
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." But he's like, "If you know anyone
Whatever
else,"
business he's supposed to take over is gonna fail because he can't even finish this job.
I'm not. So he's like, "If you know anyone else who does admin work or wants construction work," I'm like, "Yeah, I'll keep a word out."
Fuck no, I'm not sending anybody to you because you're not gonna have a business in about 2 years because
And
you're not
then
gonna finish a job.
And in the beginning of all that too, like, he was in like weird texts. He's like complaining about his relationship, asking me for advice. Dude, you just met me. I don't know what the fuck you and nor do I want. I'm like, "I'm sorry to hear that about your relationship." Like,
I'm
he's like,
sorry,
"What are
everyone keeps
things like?"
confusing you for Oprah Winfrey.
He's like, "What's your relationship like?" And I'm like, "It was getting a little weird." I'm like, now mind you, this is like the beginning of all the bullshit. So little fast forward, he finishes the floor. He's supposed to come back and do the rest of the work he's supposed to do. A day goes by. And mind you, he's asking for advance. The last time he asked for advance, I'm like, "No, that's that. You need to finish the job before you get any more money." And at this point, I'm a fucking idiot because I have given him more than half of than he deserved. More than half of the work that was supposed to be.
Flames on the side of my face, breathing, breath, heaving breath.
Pretty much more than half of the money I already given him. I gave him the money to supplies. He bought the supplies, so they're sitting in my basement and in my sunroom. Another day goes by. Another day goes by. A week goes by.
And it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it.
I'm texting him, and then I text him, and it comes up, oh, the number you reached is blocked. I smooth text my coworker. I'm like, yo, dude, your boy blocked me. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yo, I'm calling him. I'm texting him, blocking. He's like, yo, let me call him now. He's like, yo, I'm coming up blocked too. And he was like, yo, he probably didn't pay his bill because he probably does that sometimes. I'm like, oh, really? Wow. So then,
Wow.
oh, I have to tell my boyfriend. I'm tell him this shit. He's extra livid. Like he's like, you should have met like, and he has every right to, because I'm like, this is the type of shit. I'm so. What's the word again, Ty? What am I again?
Oh, I don't know.
Wait, you faded out.
Oh, I said I don't know. No, timid.
What's the I'm
Timid.
so
There you go. Timid.
right. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, all I can do is just like, wow, I really fucked up. I dropped the ball there. Like, I should have been aggressive. Yes, aggressive. I should have been more aggressive. I should have been not even considered his feelings, because he
No,
seemed
you
like a
would be
sad sack of shit,
you would
and
be
he really
timid,
was.
not aggressive. You would be timid.
I'm
You're
timid,
you're
and I need to.
timid. Yes, you need to be aggressive, but yes, you're timid.
Yes, I need to be. Yes, right. So a few weeks go by. My coworker finds out that the guy had sexual harassment charges filed against him
At his
for
job or by his girlfriend who was
not by
cheating on
his
him.
girlfriend, by someone else. So supposedly he already had a sexual harassment charge against him before, but got acquitted because supposedly the girl lied and she got caught lying. I don't know. But this time around, he was going to court because of sexual harassment charge. I'm like, wow, that's why it's coming up blocked and his phone number is not active. And I'm like, wow, that's some shit.
You
And
sure know how to pick 'em.
right. About maybe like a month or two later, pretty much this weekend,
I should say your family knows how to pick 'em. How do you have two failed attempts at handyman?
two failed, right. And then this weekend, I actually find out that,
Both of which just disappeared off the face of the earth on you.
right.
At least the second one you found out is going to court for sexual harassment. Who knows what happened to that first guy? He might have jumped on his pirate ship and sailed the seven seas.
Drink up me hearty Joe.
Who knows?
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm not done with the story yet.
This is why I don't pay people until the job is done.
Yep, I see exactly why. A life lesson. So I find out this weekend because my coworker's ex-girlfriend hit him up, and he's like, what the hell do you want? She's mutual friends with the handyman. She's like, hey, he just wants me. I'm going to say Pablo. Pablo just wants me to reach out to you and let you know that he won't be able to finish your coworker's bathroom. And he's like, yeah, we kind of figured that after he didn't show up for like a month. And he's like, he's actually locked up in jail.
For sexual harassment.
And
Oh,
that he might be
boy.
serving time.
Oh.
And literally all I could do was laugh, because I'm like, that's truly a lesson for me, and that's karma for his bitch ass. Like,
What the hell did he do to get sexual harassment? He's serving time.
that's what I want to know. And you know what's so funny? Before all that sexual harassment thing, before I found out,
Captain Sparrow.
he said to me, he's like, honestly, I didn't like the vibes from that guy, and I never wanted to leave. He never wanted to leave me alone or our daughter with him in the house, because he didn't like the feel of him.
Yeah.
And he was right. Look at that. I'm like, what could you have? I didn't even know you get locked up for that, like, without
God.
the case being, completed.
He's like, what did he do? Like sexual harassment?
So, right. And so his girlfriend broke up with him. which means he lost his opportunity for that business that he was supposed to inherit.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's good for his ass. Like,
Well,
I hope he's getting butt raped in there. Like,
that just saved that business. That's for sure. This motherfucker can't complete a job.
son, like, I'm like, wow.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know about that sexual harassment. I think it's a
Right.
little more than that because I'm
More
like,
to that, because I'm
what?
like, how can allegations if the court case hasn't been completed?
Yeah, I think it might have been sexual assault. I think because
I,
sexual harassment, he's going to be serving time for sexual harassment. I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
you know what? They probably confused the terminology. It's probably sexual assault.
It probably, yeah, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't
Yeah,
sound
this
right at all.
fucking creep bozo. Like, the scorn I feel for. Well, I don't feel it so much now because that is truly karma. And my coworker explained to his ex girlfriend, he's like, yeah, he's an asshole. He took the money and ran. She's like, are you serious? That's messed up. I'm like, shut the fuck up. That's your friend. You know what he's capable of.
You a dumbass. Gonna get your ass whooped.
But yeah,
Wow, wow. I'm quiet because I'm still thinking about this. I'm like,
mind you,
th-
I summed it
he
up
probably
for
has.
you.
He probably does have a sexual harassment charge on top of a sexual assault charge.
And I'm like, and this shit dragged out for months, bro. Like,
Yo.
and I'll say though, he didn't. The floor he chose was pretty nice. That's the one. That's the only thing he
Yo.
did. And I'm like, I'm not doing any more with this bathroom because I plan on moving out in the next 2.5 years. So I'm done. I'm done.